Recruiting personal assistants and support workers. Did you draw up a list of qualities you wanted from a support worker?
Yeah.
What sorts of things were you looking for?
Someone that respected me and could keep confidentiality. I didn't interview in my own home. No. I used the job centre once and CLDT for the second time.
I think a lot of it goes on personality, how the person projects themselves, and their willingness to accept the situation of employer-employee. That's rather important. And I think for the most part you're looking for flexibility.
It's not easy to have somebody to come into your home, so things have to be right, and there have to be rules. Like, for instance, in our case it wouldn't be any good to be allergic to cats because cats are in the house. Wouldn't want a smoker. We wanted a driver. So you look at what your needs are and try to match them in the advertisement. You want someone to support you, and you want it on a friendly basis, but you don't want somebody taking over your life and telling you what to do. And I think the danger of that when you're old is even more so. It has to be a friendly but employer-employee relationship. So you have to make very clear at interviews what you want and what you expect and what you don't want.
I think it needs to be someone who is sensitive to your private life and is able to know when to back off if there's any situation where you need to talk over something between the two of you. For us, we definitely very hot on having someone who will have fun with us, someone good-humoured. We like a good laugh.
Yeah, we were fortunate too, weren't we, in that the people we ended up with were people we knew through the home care scheme and through living round here and whatnot. There were people we knew well or fairly well, most of them really well, I think.
I did quite a lot of preparation before I took on a support worker, so although I got the agreement for direct payments, it took me a while to really think through the sort of person I wanted to work with me. I needed to be very clear, because it's in a mental health context. I didn't want a therapist. I have therapy. I didn't want a therapist. I wanted a support worker. I wanted somebody who was aware of the issues and who had a degree of sensitivity about that. I do advertise in places where I think I or like-minded people might advertise, and I also tend to tap into health and social care courses, so postgraduate students or mature students at university or college who might be doing a health and postgraduate health and social care postgrad course, who've got some awareness but who aren't so rigidly set in their ways that they're going to have difficulty adapting to the role of support worker.
The problem I thought I might have is that I was offering somebody not very much time. I think I've got 9 hours over the weekend and an evening, and I thought, well, that's not a lot of time to offer somebody, so you're not offering somebody a full-time job. So what I did was I went to the Nursery Nurses College, and I wanted to know if any of the students wanted work for on a Saturday and at weekends and in the evening, and so that's how I recruited. And I'm hoping that once they get to know us as a family, even when they get their full-time job, they can still fit us in. And I just wanted to approach a group of people that were interested in children and working with children in the first instance. But if I hadn't have done that, actually, my second idea was we're friends with some adults with cerebral palsy in the area, and we were going to try and see whether we could job share. It probably wouldn't work with other parents with children because they probably want the people at the same time, at weekends and after school. But I thought with an adult it might, because actually my friend who has direct payments doesn't have as many carers at the weekend because he's got his wife with him. So, you know, that was another route that I didn't take, but as you know, I would suggest to other parents, you know, to make networks with other people using direct payments might throw up some ideas.
Some people interview personal assistants in their own home. Pauline, just like Rosie, chooses to do interviews somewhere else. If you advertise in a job centre, they can usually also provide you with a room for interviews.
I would always have a friend sitting with me at interview. The advantage of that as well is that my friend can ask some questions. It gives me a chance to sit back and really assess the person and look at who they're relating to, how thoughtfully they're giving their responses. I've learnt a lot. For a start, I've learnt never to give my own home telephone number on an advert. I always use one of my current support workers will put their number on and field calls, or a friend will do that for me, but I would never use my own number. In terms of advertising, I do now ask for some experience of working with people with mental health support needs. I didn't initially, but I do now. I was experiencing a fairly quick turnover of support workers, and I think it's really because they weren't prepared enough. So now, my support workers do tend to stay a long time, and I think putting the effort into advertising and recruitment can really pay dividends in the long run in terms of stability of your support team, really.
What it always comes down to for me is the personality part. Actually seeing the person and sitting and talking to them for half an hour or whatever it might be. But in the end, what it comes down to is, do you think you'll be able to get on with that person? Most of the time it works. Occasionally it goes wrong, and it does take sometimes a few months to find that out. And but it is unusual. Mostly I think each of you realise that it is either going to work or not work fairly early on. So that's good. If the information you get on your application form is extensive enough, then you can usually put that together with what you feel about the person themselves, and it works out.
Social services and direct payments support schemes will recommend that you have a Criminal Records Bureau or CRB check done for anyone you wish to employ, and they will help you to organise this. Some people receiving direct payments choose to recruit and employ their own personal assistants or support workers. Other people choose to use an agency to manage and provide personal assistance. Some people do both. They employ their own PAs or support workers some of the time, and use an agency for backup support or at specific times. Mary uses an agency to provide her direct payments support.
The paperwork is all done for me. I just had to pay the invoices when they come out, and that's quite straightforward. And I got into a routine of doing that. So basically my work is just arrives on Thursday morning, and then we go off and do whatever, and then I get the invoice a month later, and you can pay that out of the money I've been allotted. I've not used an agency before, but I have been so impressed and pleased. It's worked out very well for me and my needs.
Rosie has also chosen to use an agency to share the responsibilities of organising her direct payments support.
For me, it's been a lot easier employing an agency. I know I can trust the agency, and that if one person doesn't work out, I can ask for somebody else, whereas obviously with a PA you'd have to re-advertise, and that could take some time. With the agency I'm with, it wouldn't take any time whatsoever to sort that out. It's taken out of my hands, but always consulting me with everything that happens.
Rosie shortlisted and met 3 agencies before choosing one to work with.
I think what stood out about the agency I'm with now is the friendliness, the openness, the honesty, the understanding around my health needs, and the amount of detail and attention that they were willing to pay, no matter how